Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Beyond the Summit presentation here of the Manila Major Chinese Qualifier. Here we've got ourselves Invictus Gaming versus TongFu. I myself am Blaze, joined by Blitz. This is going to be awesome. Really pumped for this cast here, as I haven't actually gotten to see enough of IG or TongFu recently, and they are teams that can absolutely take games off one another. They have the potential to take games off of just about anybody in this qualifier, and we're already so far to the draft that I'll just turn it over to Blitz, man. What do you think?
Think, looking at this draft, I'm trying to see who's I kind of like better, but I'm not sure. I'm never really a fan of Lina as a hero anymore, and Mirana's a little bit sketchy. I know nowadays she's just played as a core and it's really strong,
Hmm.
but personally I don't have enough experience playing her myself yet, so I don't want to comment too much. But from the looks of things, especially what we saw at WePlay, it looks pretty good. Earth Spirit is still not too unsurprisingly a top pick, just because of what he can still do for you. The Boulder Smash nerf is pretty big, but his ultimate and his scale of initiation is still really strong.
Definitely. Boboka's record is 4-2 out of 6.86. So while the hero isn't as good as he used to be, I still think that we're going to see a lot of clump targets in this kind of situation. So the AOE factor and control could be quite promising. Maybe even enough to set up the Lina stun here. I mean, go rolling in, LSA follow up, but you have some good potential here, and they're really going to need to execute well in the early game because obviously you've got to get that Medusa online. Without items, this hero's not going to do too much, and you got to kind of look for critical mass before TongFu really get rolling, because you are going to be having to deal with the Necronomicon Mana Burn of the Beastmaster, potentially a Diffusal build from either the Juggernaut or the Mirana, and probably Manta to follow that up. It's just a lot of potential coming out from TongFu here, and although the Medusa 4th pick is always like a drafter's nightmare, it's not as bad as Medusa 5th pick, but it's still something that's hard to deal with. They are going to have reasonable tools to deal with this one. It comes down to a lot to positioning, because the way I see it, Axe and Medusa actually have the potential to execute really well together. You get a Berserker's Call, you control the way that they're facing, and as such, you can just force them to look into the eye of the Gorgon here, and Medusa can get a really effective Stone Gaze off. So a lot of good potential here for IG to pull this one through on carry value alone, but they've got to get there first.
Yeah, there's some interesting heroes that IG can pick too to function with the Medusa, depending on where they plan on putting the Lina. I'm never really too big of a fan of Lina as a core anymore, but I know Ferrari is the type of player that just likes to play the snowball mids. So for him, it doesn't really matter too much. It's almost like this guy's medalist, just because he still likes to play those snowball kind of core roll through heroes. You could also run Medusa mid as well, which I've seen a few teams do in the past.
Yeah. Not very Ferrari-esque, though, I would say.
Yeah, I think he's more of a playmaker. Damn, I was gonna call this hero.
I like it too. I think that there's a lot of potential with the Medusa and the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's the combo that EG used to run. It was either the Tree Phoenix or the Medusa Phoenix. We found was really strong just because you can never attack the egg. I was gonna say the one downside of that, obviously, is the jug spin will still kind of function as hitting the egg, but still, because the Stone Gaze goes through BKBs, it's not even that bad. See, that's how you know I thought about it, because I already knew the jug thing and everything. I was like, Phoenix would be sick here, but then that means you have to put Lina mid, and the downside of Lina mid, again, is just you have a really vulnerable core. You have somebody that you build 10, 15k net worth on, that as soon as she gets gone on, she dies just like that. I guess the benefit is the only hero that can gap close on her is maybe if like the Venge swaps her, and I think that's the one really good part about this hero, but other than that, I think the downsides are any single time you get stunned by anything, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's you'd never want that on a hero that you're going to devote that much farm to.
Absolutely, and I definitely agree with that one. By comparison, Medusa, she's kind of a sponge. She's able to soak so much up, and it's got a lot of potential here, especially we got to see it with the Axe. The Axe of Phoenix was actually something that Vici ran, and while the execution wasn't, I would say, optimal, it was actually a really synergetic combo where no matter BKBs or not, Call will almost guarantee your Supernova if it's hitting enough targets, and you have so many ways to really make the fights happen here, with either the Blink Initiation from the Axe or just kind of walking it in with the Stone Gaze. So we'll switch over in-game here and check out the openers here for IG as Boboka goes for a long-range ward. This is something I'm sure he's practiced quite a bit here, but he is able to TP in, go rolling boulder across, and get a ward on the enemy side of the river that's not the Ancient Ward.
That's pretty big that you can place that ward like that.
Mhm.
I think that's the first time I've seen somebody place wards this efficiently. even on a hero like Earth Spirit. You're just fast about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty big too, just being able to sync up things like that really quickly. Because there's no way that those are going to get dewarded now.
Yeah, the first time they saw him was at the bottom of the steps walking east. So they absolutely do not have a good read on these wards. There's a lot of ideas in their head of where it could be, and they'll probably have a better picture once they see that the hard camp is not spawning, but it's not a clear deward by any stretch.
Yeah. I think this means Faith has to go for the sentries, which is why you typically save the gold up in case you're going to do something like this.
Yeah.
Especially if either of them want to offlane, but so far, it does look like it's going to be the Ferrari Medusa.
Really?
Yeah.
That
See, that's because that's the thing. I think if you play Lina as a core nowadays, again, you just get stunned once and your hero kind of sucks, which means that we're going to have a Phoenix core.
Yeah, that's actually going to be pretty interesting here. I mean, obviously, Wrong has shown his versatility among his picks, but the Lina is something that we haven't seen from him a lot, and honestly, I just thought that it might be relatively easy for you to combo up the Earth Spirit with the Lina and find those opportunities. Instead, they're going to dual lane the Medusa Earth Spirit and just kind of find a way to poke at the lane. In the meantime, Faith is actually off-laning this Enigma, which I think the biggest strength of it is being able to demonic convert the range creep. I think this opens up the hero as an offlaner a lot because you're taking 40% of the creep wave's experience out thanks to that one spell that you can spam out relatively frequently. I mean, compared to the Lich, you can actually cast it every wave. So, where the Lich is stuck at 60 seconds level 1. Oh, Courier. Whoa, my goodness. That was actually about to be a huge misplay from Lin if that does actually just fall to the creeps alone.
Yeah, I think the one thing about this matchup is that the Miranda doesn't have a lot of kill potential, but neither does the Dusa.
Yeah,
and
so far best.
I think that's a downside of running this Earth Spirit here, just because with Earth Spirit, he's not one of those heroes that scales into the mid game super well if he hasn't already set something up, just because you want to be active with this hero as much as possible. You see every single Earth Spirit that I consider a tier 1 Earth Spirit, they want to get aggressive in the laning phase, try to make things happen for their team. Then you can kind of supplement the fact that you don't really do too much like as a pure laner. Like he's not going to go top, kill the Enigma early or zone him out or anything like that. Like this hero's meant to get kills.
Absolutely. He's kind of playing it like a passive bounty hunter where he's just anti-jungling. He's just
exactly.
Trying to follow the Beastmaster around, trying to mess with his early farm. Obviously, Iron Talon is ideology that the hero like Earth Spirit and Bounty can follow and exploit, but at the same time, that just leaves the Beastmaster just to go to the hard camp, take a little bit more damage in the process, but in the meantime, Boboka is getting nothing.
It's okay. Earth Spirit's like the craziest hero in Dota 2, so he doesn't really need to get anything. It's not even really a joke. It's like when you see a bounty hunter that's level 2 at 6 minutes, I hear every caster go, "Oh, they've really shut this hero down." I'm like, nope. No man, just wait till track comes online.
Yep. The comeback is definitely real with that one, and Tome of Knowledge actually allows that playstyle to work even more effectively. So if Boboka doesn't get too much, but he's still able to get maybe a kill, an assist, and a number of neutral creeps where he's getting half the experience, then I think that he's still able to contribute something big because at 10 minutes he's still going to have the levels he needs. Nice boulder rolling out, so that's going to allow him to even draw the attention of the Vengeful Spirit away from bottom.
Yeah. Sort of think that this is still okay, just because you almost always prefer the Medusa to get a lot of farm right now. And any sort of laning phase where she goes beyond even, and she's actually winning right now, handedly means that you're okay with everything that's happening so far. And Faith, he's going to be okay with what's going on right now too, just because he's about to get the Soul Ring.
Yeah.
You're denying a lot of XP from the Phoenix, which is the most important thing, like we pointed out. This bottom lane, though, it's been really hard for Kabu to really get anything going, just because the downside of Venge as a hero is that this hero does not zone other heroes out well. Like you're meant to either get kills or bust in a way. And the thing about Jug too is that you want the advantage early on with the laning phase. Part of the reason why you pick heroes like Jug and Vengeful Spirit together is because otherwise either of these heroes don't provide a lot aside from being able to kill the offlaner.
Yeah, attempt on LPC here, but Boboka worried about that Sacred Arrow coming in from mid. Just going to be able to kind of poke at him and annoy him, but is not able to grab either creep, but will probably force him home from here. But I am kind of wondering, at this point, what is the role of Wrong in the bottom lane? Like, what is the Lina able to do? If Jug is spinning on the axe, he's not going to really have a response until afterwards. So the direct confrontations don't really lend many opportunities to the Lina. He's mostly just been pulling.
Most of Wrong's job is actually for when the Jug starts to run forward, because the only time the Jug and the Avenger are gonna run forward are for kill opportunities, right? So otherwise, if the Jug is trying to passively farm, then Wrong just keeps right-clicking him nonstop, and it prevents you from getting anything out of this lane extra. And you're seeing that already as the Jug has 7 CS to his name right now, and he's had to burn through almost all of his regen. Or I guess he has 5 tangos, so he went double tango salve. I guess that's pretty common nowadays. But QD is about to finish his tranquils if he wants, but it opts to go for the Ring of Health already. And people have been favoring this too when you play for the core axe, going for the Vanguard first instead of going for Blinker upgraded boots.
It's extremely good. Now we're going to see actually a combo come out here on U9. He will get the spin out, but he's still going to be taking a lot of hits here. No counter helix to be procced, but at the same time, U9 walks away from that confrontation with wasting a lot of mana, his cooldown, and doesn't get to touch that neutral camp whatsoever. I actually really like the fact that Wrong has been so active in pulling this hard camp, even gets the 5-minute spawn here, and all QD has to do is just tank the wave. Like, when you have all the dire creeps dying off to the neutrals, suddenly you have even more of an opening for Axe to counter helix everything down, and like you said, the Venge can't really get involved against it.
Oh, at top.
You're going to be seeing LPC punished for some aggression. The Eidolons, however, are going to be going out on Wrong. Nice little light strike array, but still, Wrong, 11 HP, actually survives through it all. And there isn't going to be anything long range to finish him off. He will limp back to his base with 1 kill the richer. Faith, unfortunately not able to make much happen, but also not getting D-laned. It's the Beastmaster that does go down.
Yeah. I'm still pretty surprised that they decided to go for that play, though, just because there was very little chance that they were going to kill the Phoenix. And at bottom, QD's going to go for this. He's going to get gone on. But again, it's a level 4 Beastmaster. He's in a really good position because of the amount of regen that he has. He hasn't even burned through the salve yet, and almost has the Vanguard. And once this guy has the Vanguard, even with the Roar, I'm not sure that they can commit to a kill just because your Vengeful Spirit's at such a low level.
Oh, Faith committing for the tower top. He's not going to get the last hit just yet. Finally will find it, but in the meantime, it's going to be Boboka as well as XXS to bring him down. Moonlight Shadow won't be able to bail him out of that one. I think the Murano was maybe just hitting level 6 at the time if he just finished off a full creep wave, so timing might have been the issue there, but obviously if you precast the Moonlight, there's a decent chance that Enigma survives. It comes out to whether the Sunray sticks.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising that he decides to go for that, just because I don't think the tower trade is necessarily worth it.
Why would you say that?
I think it's 2 things. It's one, you're just feeding away a pretty high level hero, like that's a level 6 Enigma, and the Earth Spirit's going to pick up level 5 as a result of the back-to-back kill opportunities that he has had. And more than anything, it's just about, I think it's a mental game too, where your team is picking up kills when you see 2-0 and you have a Medusa and you feel like you're going to play passive. You know that your bottom lane, even though they haven't been able to net any kills, is just doing really well in terms of farm. You just feel good. Like it makes you panic a little bit less. Usually the more veterans you have on your team, the less of an issue that this is, but
sure. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Definitely not one that I really considered too thoroughly, but I think they'll be able to still kind of find the resolve when LPC hits 6 if they can start making things happen. And they probably need to, because you just let an Axe rush a Vanguard, go and farm some Ancient stacks, suddenly you're going to be losing a ton of momentum in the game. They really are going to be looking for the Roar Arrow combo, but first and foremost it's going to be Lin, who's going to be taking a lot of damage here, and with the stun is just barely able to leap away. LPC finds a Roar, U9 coming in, and they won't even need an Omni Slash that wouldn't have been there anyway. So good rotation, good response, and that is going to be the Earth Spirit punished, rebolstering TongFu.
Yeah, that still was a pretty huge commitment though from TongFu. They had to rotate over their safe laner. That means that QD at bottom, you're almost going to just trade that tower off. That's the really big downside. That's why Boboka doesn't really care if he makes that play, just because as soon as the Axe knows that you TP'd out, you just skip the creep wave once, you stack up the creep wave with the siege creep, and it's almost going to go down. Like, that tower was at full HP before.
Exactly. But now they have a small opportunity here. Omni Slash is available this time around, but closing the distance is another story entirely. We are going to see Black Z just walk away with the Vanguard complete, and I figure the jungle game is pretty important right now. Like, if he gets the stack at 9 minutes, they don't contest, and he just burns that down, like, suddenly the power spike is going to be insane for this carry Axe.
Yeah. You see the Phoenix has got 1600 gold. Reasonable chance that he decides to go for Midas, just because, well, with Phoenix, you don't really need any huge items. Like, everything else is just a bonus, really. It's really just the egg that you're trying to set up for, as Ferrari still has 48 CS. He's on top of the charts in terms of net worth. Barely ahead of the Mirana, but we can chalk that up to the tower.
All right, so we are going to be seeing not only QD finish off the trolls, a very nice move with the skeleton spawns, and now he's going to go right onto these ancients, and with this many points in counter helix as well as that berserker's call, clean it up easily. So Bobukal will get his level 6 prior to the 10-minute mark, and QD getting so much gold. Like Vanguard suddenly translates into half a blink dagger.
Yeah, and that's normally why you don't just all-in commit for the blink or anything like that. It's better to turn this hero now into more than just an initiator, because you can scale due to the counter heal exchange.
Yeah. I mean, even if he had a bad laning phase, I could still see QD just going for Tranquil Boots and then just kind of playing the lane in and out a little bit. But because they've essentially snowballed the lane, there have been no deaths on him despite a lot of aggression. It actually just allows him to go straight for the Vanguard Rush, which is even more health regen than it used to be. And now...
Top.
Oh, yep.
They really need this to work. One more second. Yeah, they got it.
Very nice kill there. I think even with the Supernova they find it, but maybe your Malphite doesn't take in the middle of the Icarus dive, and he does just get enough distance for a rebuttal. But we'll see. Right now they're actually starting to take control of the dire side of the map. How important do you think it is for TongFu to really take this full aggressive stance?
I think they have to, just because, like we talked about, they don't have the best ways to burst down as the game goes later against the Medusa, and the Axe is going to prove really strong against our lineup too. Axe doing quite well against the Jug just because you're going to build naturally tanky. You can cut through his spin just by going for the Berserker's Call, so you always have the initiation. So I look for TongFu to try to get aggressive. I think they were trying to do it a little bit too early when they were rotating the Beastmaster top when he was only level 4. I think that was a little bit of an offbeat maneuver by them, but they've started to pick things up again. They're trying to create space for the rest of their team, which is fine. But I think the burden is on them to make plays happen, just because IG seem content to sit back, farm up a little bit, get ahead on other heroes. You just see the mech completed on the Enigma, so they've got a lot of teamfight, but soon it's going to be difficult for them to push just because there's a lot of counter initiation on the side of IG, and the teamfight from them too is pretty sick.
So the big timing window I would say for IG is going to be that Blink Dagger, and then you've got obviously the Supernova to come and play, maybe even that Stone Gaze. And although Ferrari's not really putting out heavy damage, no split shot, no real items behind him, just being involved in the fight, one Mystic Snake and the Stone Gaze really changes the way TongFu have to play around it, because Black Hole is a lot less functional of playing around Stone Gaze.
Yeah. The cool thing about having a Medusa or any time where you feel like you have the definitive late game advantage in Dota, everything just becomes a lot easier because the pressure is no longer on you. The pressure of execution is entirely on the enemy team. You start to kind of change your priorities, right? Just because your focus shifts to, instead of saying, okay, we have to go on them, it's now let them funnel into us, pick some counter initiators, try to play smart, and kind of wait things out. And that kind of style is a lot easier to execute just because you can be a lot more patient and look for these mini opportunities as IG have done. So now they're in a position where those 2 early game kills makes the scoreboard look really nice and pretty. It's 2-2. They know the game is passived out a little bit. Things are going pretty slowly. Everybody is farming in terms of cores on IG. You've just picked up the Midas now on the Phoenix as well. Things are rolling around at a decent pace. Whereas TongFu, they've got an item timing coming up that they pretty much have to hit. So you're going to see the Beastmaster get his Necrobook #1.
Yeah.
Lin is probably going to go for that Ags build that we see so commonly. Maybe even goes for the Midas first, but you have to kind of go aggressively before that point.
Yeah.
If you want to do anything.
Yeah, personally, I would say the Midas just feels a little bit too slow. Like, you really are desperate to start getting map control, starting to take real structures down. And if I'm TongFu, I look at the items that are just popping out left and right, and I'm starting to get really afraid. When you see the Midas and the Phoenix, when you see the Blink Dagger and the Axe, you know that you have to be worried about them making certain plays, certain movements. As well, you also feel pressed to do your own, and to make sure that this kill score isn't even, and that this tower isn't a one tower, well, it wasn't one tower advantage, now it's brought down to 0.
Yeah. And that bottom tower was almost never going to be defensible. Ultimately, they're going to take that top tier 2, and the mid tower is going to be the next objective that they want to try to force, if they can, but it's such a dangerous one just because every single team in Dota will hard commit to defending that one. It's so much easier to just take away the side tier 2s. You see that TongFu is even willing to go for the tier 2 at top pre-15 minutes before they even make the attempt at the tier 1 mid. But now I think is their sort of timing. They've got the Necrobook up, they've got drums, the first big item in that Aghanim Scepter, and they're even going to smoke behind. They're anticipating this mid fight. Even catching LPC here would slow them down quite a bit.
Yeah, but so far, no luck. He is going to be moving just away from them, and it's going to be hard to close that distance even with the Blink Dagger. However, they seem to be reading that there might be somebody in their own turf, despite having very limited vision in that capacity. They're just kind of baiting mid, I guess. They want TongFu to go on Ferrari. Obviously, 3-4 heroes are missing right now, so they think that Ferrari is going to be the target, and they're just trying to be the counter initiators. But it looks like they will be wrong in that regard, but they still get a tower out of the deal.
And this is, again, one of the bigger towers that you're going to take in the game, just because it centers away so much of the control. And that's part of it, is they want to get the 2-for-1. You get a kill, then you make it indefensible for TongFu, then you immediately go for the tower. You get a lot of map control, and once again you force the onus on TongFu. But I think TongFu made the right decision there, being able to kind of move around that fact.
Yeah, the tier 2 top's still not bad, but is it really putting them in a position to start pressuring IG out of their own jungle and really make them uncomfortable? I feel like they have some potential to do that, but they have to win the next fight is the bottom line. And so far we're seeing them kind of do-si-do around that, but over time IG are getting more powerful, and TongFu aren't really finding that opening.
The good news for TongFu is that they almost always have map control because of this Hawk that they have, and they're almost always going to be able to scout out into the jungle, play deep, and sort of know when IG is in their own jungle. Because if you're Dire, you want to play in this Radiant jungle, you want to get control just so you can open up the bottom, you can open up the mid, you can even go for Roshan. They don't have the best Roshan lineup, but all of these are just kind of viable options for them. And they're not really in a hurry just because, again, they can just passively sit behind this Medusa, allow her to farm. The good news for TongFu, though, is they still do have good ways to deal with her. They've got the Midnight Pulse, you've got the Beastmaster Necrobooks, which are incredibly good against Medusa. Just hit her a few times with the Mana Burn. It's almost like having a DD on all your creeps.
It's definitely an interesting position to be in here. I feel like I'm kind of surprised that TongFu haven't really been doing more with the Moonlight Shadow to try to kind of set up opportunities and find openings. Do you think that's out of respect to the potential like observer-centric combos they might be walking into, or just they don't feel like it's a good time for it?
I think it's just unnecessarily risky, because imagine trying to initiate on the IG's lineup. That's the best way, in my opinion, just whenever I'm in analysis, I try to look at it. Like, how do the fights kind of look whenever TongFu starts to initiate? IG, if they get a good blink call into the Medusa Stone Gaze and the Phoenix Egg, they've got 3 layers of we can win a fight right there. Like, you hit the egg, you hit the call in conjunction with the Stone Gaze, and all of a sudden you lose 2 or 3 heroes off the bat. And you're not running away from IG's lineup either because of the Blink Dagger, the dive. They don't really have the most mobile heroes in the game. I guess they have Leap as an escape mechanism, but that's it. You've got Call that can cut through the Jug spin TP that he's so fond of.
Yeah, but given the scaling game that we both know is coming, isn't that a defeatist attitude? Like, aren't they just losing as the clock ticks down? Obviously, the Ags is a nice power spike here, but at that time, you're going to be seeing the Lincolns up for the Medusa, and while you might be able to use the Necronomicon Mana Burn to break that, that's still less that you get out of the fight as a whole.
Yeah, they still have a lot of team fight, though. Like, TongFu isn't in a dangerous position. It's still only 17 minutes into the game, and they're going to get the mid deny. This is a really nice pickup by them. You notice when they went for the initial push, too, even though the tower was at 170 HP, they didn't hard commit for it. And TongFu is doing a good job of taking towers back, is the biggest thing. But I kind of agree. I think pace of the game favors IG. They've completed the Lincolns now on their mid Medusa. The Axe almost has a Blade Mail now, which is, I think, the option that he's going to go for.
Yeah, and the Veil of Discord actually almost up for the Phoenix as well, so you're going to be able to do a lot more with that Lina than just like the kind of lowly support that maybe gets 1 or 2 stuns in a fight and otherwise just tries to get her ult out.
And I think the biggest hero that it helps is the Earth Spirit.
Yeah, the Magnetize definitely can play into it. It's obviously a pretty core item on him as well. And he's been pretty conservative about his stones remnants. Like, he's been able to still move and still be ready for fights, but he hasn't had to drop anything down because it's been such a passive, about 10-minute frame. So he's definitely going to have a lot of fights to drop down when that ulti does come out.
Yeah. You see the Enigma, he's going to go for the BKB off the bat. And they're committing a lot to the team fight right now. Is they've got the Necro 3 on the Beastmaster. The Jug is really underfarmed, as is Kabu. Right now, Kabu, what team did I know him for? Was it Rattlesnake?
He's been around the block, certainly, but I think Rattlesnake has been one of his more prominent ones.
That's what, I think that was the biggest one. And I used to always know this guy as somewhat of a standard player. Nova's going to go in.
Oh, big roar going to be coming out on the axe, but still a lot of spins coming out at the same time. Stone Gaze will be coming through, but the Omni Slash will negate it to an extent. Finally petrified, and he will be falling to Medusa, but there's a massive black hole with the Midnight Pulse. Huge AoE damage, double kill for Lin, and now Ferrari in some real trouble. Will Mystic Snake try to get the mana, but it's too late. They've been obliterated by one combo from Faith. Oh, that is what you're looking for from your offlane Enigma.
Oh, I wish you guys could see my face right now. The Phoenix, I saw it happening in like slow motion. I see him go for the dive. I see Faith prep his hands. No, they needed the egg so badly to combo. And the fight looked really good to begin with.
It did.
Like, the Earth Spirit rolls in, but isn't able to get the best initiation off. He just gets bursted, and that hole comes down, changes the complexion of the game. I thought the Phoenix egg was going to be 10 times easier, but it's not every day you see like a 4-man Midnight Pulse black hole into the Starfall.
Not against this kind of team, too. I mean, that's just such a difficult one to find. He didn't even have the BKB, but it doesn't matter because he waits out the Stone Gaze, and then he just walks it in. IG, they were hungry for blood. They really were, and they definitely had the advantage until that moment, but jeez, that was just so clutch. And we are seeing a whole new TongFu. Like, you're talking about momentum, you're talking about the mind game. I don't think TongFu are sweating it anymore.
Yeah, especially after that fight. If they had lost that fight, then IG probably roll, but that hole is kind of absurd. I feel so bad for the Phoenix player. The arc of it just carried him into the waiting arms of Enigma. He's like, come. If he's just like a millimeter down, then he can catch it from behind. Then he gets the egg off in conjunction with the Fire Spirits, with the Veil. Then you see an easily won fight. You saw Ferrari didn't even die till the very end. You can definitely pick things up and turn them around, and your team is naturally tanky, but initiating into that was rough.
They say Icarus flew too close to the sun. In this case, it's him flying too close to a dying sun, and that is going to be the game changer here. TongFu have so much momentum behind them now, is now suddenly not only the Ags fresh for Lin, but a Blink Dagger on top of it. This is going to enable so much more damage on top. They just need a decent Midnight Pulse, and they're going to at least be able to get a couple kills every fight.
Yeah. The Aghanims on the Mirana, I think the best thing about the hero now is that it gives you a definitive power spike. Before, I think the problem with Mirana was, what did you pick up that made her very good? It's not like you got a single item and you're like, wow, Mirana is now online. With the Axe, you can get the Vanguard and say, oh, this hero's a lot tankier. Or with a lot of the heroes, you'll just say, oh, they pick up this Aether Lens, this Veil, whatever. They become a lot stronger. But Mirana never really had that item. Now she has the Axe.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why you got to see so many Midases in previous core Mirana build-ups, is because it's all about her curve. But now there's actually a spike in that, and that creates a lot of value for a team lineup that doesn't want to go too late game.
Yeah, I think people underestimate that too. Just that's kind of why the hero never really saw its peak potential, just because there was never that point where you're like, wow, Mirana is sick now.
Definitely, definitely. Oh my gosh, that neutral creep actually nearly saving Bubbleguz's life, but we're still going to see the blink initiation in, and there's no way out for him. They'll try to get a rebuttal onto the Mirana, but a swap is going to instead say sayonara to Kabu. Misses the call, unfortunately, but got the call. That's going to be at least getting one kill in exchange. So support for a support, despite that flashiness, but I guess TongFu had to move a little bit more for it.
Yeah, they almost lost on Mirana too. That was really close. The combination of the Earth Spirit and the Phoenix was really strong. Luckily for him, the Vengeful Spirit was there, but TongFu are starting to establish the map control, and whenever you take fights on the enemy side, the best part about it is you force IG to reset, push out the lanes, and take control of things. Like, you have to go into your jungle, scout things out, push things out, whereas TongFu can fall back and use all of that time for farming efficiency.
Yeah, we're still going to be seeing, though, that they are lacking the potential to feel comfortable in their own jungle. Like, they're starting to push out bottom, but we see the great opening for IG moving in. They aren't even smoked, but if we just look at visions, it's only the Eidolons that kind of really keep a tab on things. So as soon as those are gone, I definitely see an opportunity where Faith and New9 might be in jeopardy. But IG, they don't have that much vision left either. Their more recent ward expired, and their offensive has really been crushed. I mean, before they had a couple deep wards, they were making sure they were always fighting on the Radiant side, and then they lose one fight, wards expire in 6 minutes now, and suddenly TongFu are starting to confidently move back and reclaim all that potential value. Now they smoke up. Even with the Necro book already popped, it's just a straight Roche. It has to be.
Yeah, they're going to do this really quickly too with the Jug and the Healing Ward. This is going to go down so fast. The Venge is going to throw down that aura. Look at the speed.
Yeah.
There's no way that IG even respond from this. And this might just mean a straight up push right after. The Jugs are going to pick it up. I think that might be a minor mistake just because I would really like to see it on Lin, who deals so much damage in fights.
So I found that really interesting. The last time we had the Axe Mirana, the Ember Spirit picked it up. He had a Battle Fury and BOTs, but this seems like a really good pickup for Mirana. Having the Aegis, being able to just jump in and do the damage and make sure that you get 4 Star Storms out a fight, potentially hitting like up to 8 times if you really get the value out. But the big deal here is just like I feel like not only is she decently tanky, so she's not the frail thing that just dies twice real quick, but she also can extend the play and make the second coming that much more potent.
I think the main reason that they decided to go for the Jug was because he's going to be your frontliner, and he's going to be the hero that's going to hit the tower for you. So he's going to be put in a much more vulnerable position. Just because Jug has 1000 HP, doesn't really have the best way to get out against IG's lineup because they have a lot of things that can go through a spin. So you probably just prioritize making sure that you can hit the tower. Whereas the Mirana can sit back, play things around. I know in hindsight, I immediately said I would have preferred it on the Mirana, but the more that I think about it, it was more just one of those knee-jerk reactions because she's level 16 and she's got a streak. I think the Jug overall, he lets you hit the tower and get aggressive.
And do you not think the Mirana gives you that opportunity?
I don't think it's as big because the Mirana is more of a sit back, scout the situation kind of hero for for TongFu because she can kite a lot easier than the Jug can. The Jug is a very static hero in a lineup like this.
I guess also might come into play is the Axe call factor.
Yeah, exactly.
The Axe can really render the Juggernaut very vulnerable unless the spin is perfect. Like if the spin comes out right before the call, although it won't negate the call, you're not taking damage from your blade mail, obviously. But Moonlight play, not really going to come up much here. There's Scan as well, looking for it, but just seems like IG will try to dodge the fight. And that implies to me that it's time for TongFu to take the fight to them. Start just deathballing. They have that Necro 3. They have, of course, the Eidolon push, the mechanism. And it kind of feels like what their team was built for.
Yeah, I think going for just straight down mid right now is not even the worst option just because you have enough momentum in this game. And you can poke really easily with IG's against IG's team. IG are just going to gather up. They have to kind of just be 5-man now. And even in terms of farming efficiency, TongFu will win out.
It's going to be the tier 2 cleared up, and they're just going to start moving into the jungle. Do they have any wards to place in their wake, though? Kabu's got a couple, but this is going to be pretty obvious if he sticks it. I would say a lane ward more common. He'll sentry, he'll obs, and it'll go down. But they, of course, have a little bit of vision left over from that Mirana Earth Spirit exchange that allows them to know about it and to take care of it in a very short fashion.
IG don't seem to really have a game plan outside of being a little bit more passive just because they don't want to fight into the Aegis. They have pretty good ward vision into their own jungle, which I really like. Because if you're playing aggressively, you're primarily going to be playing in the enemy jungle. It's sort of the safest place to be right now. So you see that they go to their opposing jungles. TongFu still don't want to throw away the lead that they have. It is really easy to lose a game like this against the combination of the Phoenix plus the Medusa. I think Egg is the great equalizer.
And you can't leave out the Axe out of that too, man. This hero can go as late as need be with the Berserker's Call as well as potentially Blade Mail damage piercing right through magic immunity. I feel like Axe can really be a late game powerhouse. It's just in the right hands, in the right situation, and against the right heroes. Yeah.
TongFu don't really have any BKB carries or anything that will really mess up the Axe either. So the Blade Mail's effectiveness is going to be pretty good.
Goes for the pipe, though, after the Vanguard. Obviously, this item is showing more potential in 6.87 than ever before, but what do you think of the strength of the pipe is here? Just dealing with this Mirana damage over time?
Yeah, it's pretty absurd that you have to worry about that nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was like, this isn't even like, this isn't Zeus, this isn't Radiance, this is just, you know, Maelstrom damage, Star Storms.
You take away the immediate burst, though. Oh, okay. So Lin's going to walk in mid. Their smoke is going to be kind of rendered ineffective. Shoots the arrow. Does not hit Ferrari.
Hard to find that an opportunity, even if it did, because it's so easy to get overzealous against the Axe combos, but you've got the Supernova waiting behind it, of course the Light Strike Array. It just gets really difficult if you don't see the Axe, you don't have a good read on him.
Yeah. They're just playing back right now, playing the map control game. Probably can even wait for the next Aegis if they want. That's the benefit about playing against lineups that feature Medusa. This hero has absolutely no mobility. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't blink to lanes. You don't boots or travel anywhere. You kind of just static farm.
Okay. Gonna go on Ferrari here. Midnight Pulse Black Hole. All your mana and all your life is gone. They'll follow it up with the arrow just to be sure. Full commitment here, but it is going to be worth it as they do take down Medusa, and they still have this window where they are the dominant force, where they are going to be going in and just looking to break the high ground as quickly as possible. And without the Medusa, IG are really hard pressed.
Yeah, this is not a fight that you want to take without your Medusa, because the Gaze is going to set up for the Phoenix Egg. And TongFu are in a really good position where they can just kind of beat on this. They can even decide to front lane their Jug. They have a lot of different ways to save him with the... Oh,
gonna be going in. QD tries for it. The Blade Mail is up, but they're not catching anybody. They're able to get a decent call out, but it's gonna be Lin who jumps in, and the Omni Slash as well, taking down the Earth Spirit, and they will take down this tier 3. There is potential reinitiation from QD. Has that blink. Now the Blade Mail back up. He's got to go right after the spin ends for U9. He'll find 3 heroes getting massive damage with the Blade Mail. The spins and the Sunray. U9 limping away with the healing ward in the mech, sustaining him for now, and Rung can't follow through. No ether for him, so that is going to be really important high ground defense, because if you lose barracks at this stage, no matter how well Medusa is at clearing creeps, you're feeling very hard pressed to find the fight that you're looking for. But as the creep equilibrium is still evened out, they still have those opportunities.
Yeah. TongFu, wow, that was not the play. I mean, clearly hindsight dictates a lot of things from an analyst's perspective, but trying to walk up there, even without the Medusa, the best thing about it was TongFu was playing around the fact that the Medusa was going to be up in less than 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Which means the Medusa is almost never going to buy back in that situation. Like, you don't want to. In any scenario, just because...
Oh, gonna be seeing a quick little roar here onto Boboka. Looks like it'll be him going down, but QD trying to go for a rebuttal. Losing mana very quickly, but is there enough follow-up here? Nice Sunray, nice Mystic Snake, LPC finished off, and that is gonna be another important kill for just getting back the map. They've not only defended their high ground, but are now taking the fight on open plains, and they are gonna be looking to really just break back into their jungle, finish off this butterfly, and start fighting with it.
Yeah. Now their Phoenix almost has a fully completed Shiva's Guard, which is really good. It's going to negate a lot of the Beastmaster's aura damage, but yeah, the main thing I was saying was just TongFu decided to go for that because the Medusa is going to be up in 20 seconds or less. And that's kind of the territory where even if she had buyback, which she didn't, you play around the assumption that they do, but even if she had buyback, she wouldn't buy back at that point, just because it's so close, and it's almost not worth it to lose that much gold for the potential of the fight. So TongFu overcommit for what they think will just be a free high ground, and maybe even an opportunity at the range racks, which at this point is good enough. But they just got played, and Phoenix, in my opinion, is just one of those heroes, especially as a support. We see him as a core here, but kind of just really good at playing from behind, because Sunray and Supernova, you have a lot of different ways to get back into the game that are just frankly annoying to play against.
So, scouting things out here, Mirana does catch wind of a couple of heroes, but the Geometry site will clear out one of the 2 wards, and they might just, check up the high ground here and take care of the other one. So, his position, they'll just keep their distance here, but I was noting that Mirana did have a lot of gold, ends up committing for the Black King bar. So, while the Jug is building up this kind of Manta Scotty style and building up his stat pool heavily, we are going to be seeing the Mirana go a different route and try to benefit from the magic immunity. What do you think the value is here?
Just because if you get near that axe, part of the thing is when you trigger the Blade Mail, you jump onto the Mirana as soon as she sees you. It kind of forces her to Starstorm. You do half your HP almost just by 2 spins and the Blade Mail proccing the Starstorm. You never want to be in that position. And her right-click damage isn't enough that it kind of curbs your enthusiasm for that. So both teams are looking to gather up, as now they're even going to pop the Mirana ult. They want to go for this high ground if they can, but IG, they're completely prepped behind this Medusa. Not a whole lot of territory to walk through, as it looks like they still want to gather up, but Medusa's the last target that you want to go on, especially if you don't know where the rest are, and it's going to be a cool move by them.
Is there an actual window for the Mirana to pop the BKB and just go for the egg, or do they just always have to try to disengage whenever Supernova comes out? Oh, jump on Kabu should be a freebie here. Nobody to swap him out. And Faith Kind of considering it goes BKB, goes Blinks in, but can't find enough. Ferrari finally going to get hit. Now Omni Slash, now Roared, everything committed for Ferrari, but in the meantime, we're going to see the AoE combo, the Supernova coming out. Cutie can't, however, catch with the Blink Dagger, and there will be no call. LPC dropping very low, Magnetize, and the Cull is going to drop him down. Now U9 caught by the Blade Mail and the Cull, and another dunk comes through. Lin trying to do the damage to clean it up. Faith at his back is going to be able to bring down XXS, but there will be an LSA, a Laguna, and a dunk. Triple kill for QD, and now it's Mirana versus Axe. Man versus woman. We'll see just the mad mode come through from Lin, and he fights in spite of it, but doesn't worry about the gem, just tries to keep his distance here as QD out of mana and out of options.
Yeah, they're both trying to kite each other. And the Mirana doesn't really have the HP to be able to do so, but looks like she's just gonna Starstorm this, get out. And IG, again, the Phoenix, ultimately going to be one of the biggest difference makers, but the Axe, an even bigger hero there, is he's going to get a fully completed Lotus Orb after this fight, but still, IG could have made that fight even better. Like the Medusa, Ferrari was just cut out by herself. There's almost no way to help her out in that position in particular, and they still walk away with the 4-for-4 trade. I think IG are lucky for that to go as well as it did, just because they had 18k in net worth go down the drain.
Yeah, that's true, but they also committed so much for it. I mean, do you feel that TongFu consider it worth it to fully expend Roar, Omni Slash, and the Midnight Pulse Black Hole BKB from the Enigma? Everything dumped into that one hero. Yes, it's a lot of net worth. Yes, it's their ultimate carry, but at the same time, committing a lot for it.
Yeah, I think the Roar might have been a little bit too much of an overkill. Probably after that, after kill positioning was the thing that went the worst for TongFu. Was just they were so clumped up around the Medusa that the Axe and the Earth Spirit had plenty of opportunities to get in there. Plus, you saw the Sunray, like how much it can do in terms of both healing and damage. But not sure. They commit. They used everything, like you said. They had to use the Roar on top of that. I think maybe they could have saved that. The Omni Slash for sure. You have to commit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, both teams try to lead the fight as IG. They smoke up, but unable to grab anything. But you're starting to see kind of a shift again once in tempo. As IG, they're comfortable. That's one of those fights where you talk about with your team and you say, they killed our Medusa, they used everything, and we still walked away okay out of the fight.
This is getting to be a very interesting game, man. At this point, 36 minutes in, seen a lot of back and forth. Who would you favor to take this?
I think it's just whoever starts the fight. I think TongFu can still execute better.
Oh, we are hearing a Roar come out here. It is just going to be on bottom. LPC is actually the one that gets caught out. XSS takes a lot of the process, and we also saw QD caught out, but he'll Lotus Orb, he'll call, he'll Blade Mail, and they just have to turn and run.
All right, he just 1v4'd them. And a BKB charge was used. That is a pretty bad sign right now. You never want to be put in a position where you commit that much to the Axe, and he doesn't even take that much damage.
Man, just too manly. QD really showing what he can accomplish here, and I mean, obviously this is a bit of a different mentality going into these series. Ferrari is a lot more about finesse and skill usage than he generally is about just hard farming and scaling. And by comparison, QD, Black Z, he's played so much in terms of like quick AoE farm. He's been all about just going hard mode, carry mode, but here he's definitely playing a different style where he commits and knows that his team is at his back. It's definitely takes a very resolute kind of conscious for it.
IG, I mean, they're both kind of just wrangling for position right now. There's not a whole lot else that goes into a game like this. Like, both teams are just trying to set up whatever they can for each other. I think the biggest thing, honestly, is just that neither team wants to hard commit for anything and just end up dying.
All about initiation, but right now, both sides just kind of going back and forth. We see that out of smoke is the Radiant. This is going to be their last one for an extended period, and it is going to be about this Roche Pit. Not cheese, but still very important as they move in Moonlight Shadow, and both sides will kind of draw the line.
Just neither team wants to give up the Roshan, but it's just harder for TongFu to stay on this side of the map, because if they get caught out, they have to hard commit to something. Whereas IG have a much better opportunity to just kind of back off and reset. They should run into each other though.
Yeah.
IG have to know.
Yep, we're going to see they
Who
catch
gets
that
the
way
high
to
ground?
Ferrari, but again, that's not the hero they want, and they're worried about this follow-up. Still going to go on the roar. They're actually just going to burst down wrong. No Lena for this fight, but here comes in the call. Doesn't connect. It's all Ferrari with the Stone Gates of Faith isn't looking. He's getting the black hole off on all of them, but in the meantime, the Phoenix from the distance will dive in, go for the supernova, and deal massive damage. We're seeing it all turned around. The Lotus Orb reflecting, echoing back the spells from whence they came. 09, the final player to drop down as TongFu get 5-man wiped.
All right, the game has become incredibly hard, if not unwinnable. If you get that kind of black hole off with that sort of setup and you still can't even dent IG, then the game becomes so difficult. And that's why, again, we saw TongFu try to push the pace of the game because they had to. You never want to run into a late game scenario against Axe, Phoenix, Medusa. Because at some point, Ferrari is just going to become this unkillable force. But even more importantly, he gets one more item after this, and he's going to be a damage to this one as well.
Yeah, it's not just the full sponge, the ability to soak up anything that's thrown at him. He is going to be able to just build himself up further and further in terms of offensive potential, and that does not bode well at all for TongFu. That wasn't even a good Berserker's call from QD.
Yeah, it wasn't.
They were just able to do it mostly based on XXS. I mean, he goes in, Shiva's Veil, everything dropped, and is the turnaround. Obviously, you still have to address the fact that Medusa acts tanky as hell, and they survive to the other side of the black hole, but I still kind of feel like this play from Phoenix here paints a picture of what could have happened at the Radiant Ancients.
Yeah, that's what they were going for in the first place. That's why I favored IG's lineup so heavily when we were discussing things, because I felt like TongFu had to push the pace of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I thought that, but I thought TongFu had to push the pace of the game, and they were doing that black hole. How many times are you going to write that to happen? Like, you can't rely on that to happen all the time, but Faith somehow comes in the clutch. He makes that happen, but you know, Lightning's not going to strike twice, or you can't play around the fact that it is going to. So you saw them go for that dangerous fight, and now you're put into a position where you still have to fight into this core lineup, but you have to rely on the Enigma to get some sort of crazy initiation off, and it just isn't there. And now, Ferrari, the best part about the Medusa was that you could ignore him for the most part in fights. Now that's impossible.
Absolutely. He is just too big. Right now, it doesn't have split shot active, but oh, that creep. Salvation here, otherwise that would have been an awkward swap. But we're going to hear Axe call. Actually just going hard onto LPC here. Doesn't get anything out. Doesn't have buyback. It's just QD finding a quick little jump here. And the Vision game, the Hawk, not doing enough to see that one coming, as now we're just going to see Ferrari waltz up to the high ground. I mean, what does he have to fear? This guy has an Aegis. He's getting Sunray healed for whatever it's worth. He's still got 2,000 HP to boast and taking down the tier 3 rapidly.
Yeah, he's really not afraid of anything at this point. He's going to reset to full, and the Axe initiation comes, but doesn't even really have to do anything with it. They just have to frontline together as the rest of the team's looking for counter initiation.
It's hard to commit to this. They do burn a lot of mana in the process. 400 now remains for Ferrari. That arrow definitely helps their case, but at the same time, they're looking at not just one, but 2 lives coming in from this Medusa, and he's confidently just taking the full mid lane. Beastmasters are respawning. Do they want to go more? Obviously, the tier 2 seems pretty much for free, but do they actually continue to assault the high ground, or do they at least recoup the Medusa's mana loss?
No, I think you just go for it. You're not going to get a better opportunity than having double lives here, right? Second Arcane Boots are ones, so she's going to be in a decent position there. But if you reset, maybe it opens up the map for TongFu a little, and they get aggressive on your side. If you're IG, you want to know all the factors involved in the next fight.
Oh, they're going to break the link and swap 434, but he doesn't care. He's going in hard, and Kabu gets dunked down. Now they get the arrow onto Ferrari, but the Lotus Orb comes out the other way. We're going to see the big Supernova come out. They have to focus this one, or they'll see 2. It's going to be popping, and it will be popping for IG. XXS dropping the second one, and that is going to be it. Godlike QD slamming, jamming, dunking it down, and they are going to be carrying this one through 22-16. And that is a 43-minute GG. IG take game 1 over TongFu here in group stage of Manila Major China.
That was a pretty exciting game. It wasn't the most kill-intensive, but it was just kind of one of those like wrangling for position more than anything. The big team fights determined it, and ultimately IG, even with that flub team fight at the Ancients, pretty comfortable margin of victory, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were a few missteps here and there. The black hole is the clearer picture of that. If you just show that in the highlight reel, they'll wonder what went wrong that point forward to have lost the game. But you have to realize what the Medusa can do as the game goes by. And of course, you also take into consideration what QD was able to accomplish. The high ground defense was very, very potent, and they were able to really just find these AoE wombo combos that brought back every single fight and opened up the map more and more for them. I mean, we can talk about the inevitability of the Medusa all day long, but I really feel it was down to execution that IG were able to bring this back, or it absolutely could have gone the way of TongFu.
Yeah, I think TongFu, it was harder for them to win more than anything, to sum it up. Lineup was harder to execute. Any lineup that you have to inherently play that much more aggressively than the enemy team, and you're fighting into a lot of defensive abilities, so it's going to be a little bit hard.
All right, so if you're in TongFu's shoes, you just faced off against this Axe, Phoenix, etc. What do you ban going into Phase 1?
I don't even know. Probably, I don't think the Airsphere presented too many issues. You probably retool your draft more than anything.
All right. Well, we'll see what they decide to do here as we look at Game 2 of the Best of 2 coming up here in just a few minutes here on Beyond the Summit 3. Once again, I'm Blaze. You can follow me at BlazeCast, and this is Blitz at BlitzDota, and we'll see you guys in just a few minutes for Game number 2.